Hello, I'm Lynn Shay.
And I'm Peter Wakefield.
And we're talking today about the chart of Amy Winehouse, the singer, whose life was tragically cut short on the 23rd of July 2011. But Amy was born on the 4th of September 1983 in London, and we're doing a solar chart for her. She has her sun at 22 degrees Virgo, with Mercury retrograde next to the sun. And in a way, this Mercury retrograde, which would talk about a certain amount of shyness, is in conflict with her Venus and Mars in Leo.
Yes, Mercury retrograde always wants to go back on their actions. The sun in Virgo with Mercury would prefer the background rather than the limelight.
Well, it's in conflict, isn't it?
It is.
It's that she is.
It's almost as if she'd been pushed there into the limelight.
Yes, because that's right. I think she was her own worst critic, her own harshest critic in some ways. Virgo is very exacting.
It's always a bit
detail.
it's always a bit of a wallflower, Virgo. It would,
and the Mercury retrograde especially. So it was difficult for her to come forward and perform. I mean, she was a writer as well. I think really that Virgo-Leo axis is a perfect balance for the muse, if you like, the writer and the composer and the performer.
Yes.
It's a good balance.
Virgo is a bit of a wallflower. They like to observe, not always liking to participate. But she had this wonderful, charismatic voice.
She did,
and she was thrust forward.
She had a brilliant voice.
When a lot of her personality would have been reluctant to bathe in that limelight.
Well, she's got Pluto conjunct Saturn in what would be her solar second house, affecting money and earnings.
Yes.
And this is sextile the Venus and Mars in Leo. But the Venus and Mars in Leo itself is trine Moon and Neptune. So the Moon's in Sagittarius, which is the sign of the performer also.
Yeah. The conjunction of Mars, and Venus brought out a delicate kind of romance in her.
In Leo.
Yeah, because it's a very delicate. Venus in Leo is a delicate.
Is it
related to the Sun in Virgo? It's a delicacy.
Oh, right.
It's a delicacy amongst her romance, and it would give her that lovely balance of love energies when with males, in affairs of the heart, with that conjunction of Venus
she's
and Mars.
known for this very raunchy kind of over the top, and the Madame Pompadour hairdo.
She was, but she
and
had
her
a delicate
outrageous behaviour, of course.
Yeah,
the drugs and the drink and what have you. But underneath it,
there's a
reticent soul. She's quite a tortured soul, isn't she?
Yes, she was.
I think really we've got the aspect of Pluto Saturn in the second would talk about pressure from earnings. So somehow there would be pressure on her to earn money from other people.
Well, that's
probably male figures in her life.
Yes, I've put here Sun square to Moon in Sagittarius is unable to sustain the responses that were expected of her. And again, the responses from the audience. I think from the global audience.
No, that's right. She's a kind of, she must perform, but she fears judgment. She must perform. She puts life and her soul, her life. She put her life and her soul into those performances.
She certainly did.
But she feared judgment, and so that must have been a kind of crippling juxtaposition for her.
Also, the square of the Sun to Neptune in Sag was unable to sustain expectations as well, and
well, I think
she had a lot of adolescent feelings. I think with that Sagittarian influence, that she was unable to mature, because how old was she when she died? She
20,
she was only young, wasn't she?
20 something. If she died in 2011, she was born 83, 93 to 27 or something.
Yes.
But I think that she lived in fear of negative appraisal as well.
That as well. Well, Virgo.
Yes.
Yeah, always sensitive to criticism.
Yes.
And
but it's squaring that Neptune moon, isn't it? So
it was never easy to understand her emotions. Difficulty in applying her attention to
wanting to escape. That moon Neptune.
She seemed to have a low attention span.
Really? Did she?
I think so.
That moon Neptune in Sag is given to kind of like disguise for one thing, but escaping or just kind of losing concentration, or maybe like you say, losing attention. Interestingly, Jupiter is with Uranus in Sag as well, so we've got 4 planets in it. We've got a lot of conjunctions here, but the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Sagittarius in the 3rd house shows a unique talent of some sort.
Yes, she had a lot to offer, and the Sagittarian influences, she perhaps gave more than she perhaps surprised herself.
Yeah,
she gave more than she anticipated.
That Jupiter Uranus in Sagittarius is quirky to the extent of the sensationalism, or wanting new sensations or wanting new experiences, and of course the experimentation with drugs, etc. And interestingly, when she died, transiting Neptune from the 6th house was squaring that Jupiter Uranus in the 3rd.
Jupiter conjunct Uranus would, like you say, profligate her talents.
It would
to the picture
excesses.
of the and also very unusual. She had a very unusual presence about her.
She did. I agree. I agree. Those excesses, that side of her which was quite given to excesses and flamboyance, is really at variance with the Mercury retrograde.
Very close to her parents with the moon conjunct.
Well, her mother left
Neptune.
apparently.
Yeah, the father had a big bearing on.
The father had a big bearing on
the career, I suppose.
He did a lot of,
because he was always in the background.
He
wasn't
did.
He
influenced her a lot, didn't he? I think. Yeah. That's obvious from that Pluto Saturn conjunction. Actually,
health issues were always at the fore as well. Once she was on the road, I remember there were concerns over her nervous health. She had a nervous disposition. She would easily burn out.
Yes.
And of course, with Sun in Virgo,
I was going to say that's a Virgo.
They have a propensity for
burning out.
Because
they worry
having
so
to watch
much.
their health.
They worry. Virgo people worry even while they're delivering.
Yes.
So they don't relax while they're delivering.
That's right.
I think when she was singing, she was fairly relaxed, but before and after, it's this thing about really being her own harshest critic, isn't it?
And with this Saturn in Scorpio, although she was very sexually had this sexual kind of animal magnetism on the stage.
Yeah.
A lot Saturn in Scorpio would point to privately some sexual repression there, with the karmic planet of Saturn there.
Well, Venus is retrograde, Venus in Leo is retrograde.
Conjunct Mars.
Something I didn't mention before. But in a solar house, Venus is in the 12th house, so again that's repression. So there was a certain amount of repressing one's desires or one's real needs.
There was a lot of privacy in her life. And Saturn would be seated amongst that privacy in a pivotal way, and it was in Scorpio. So there was a lot that you didn't get to hear about in terms of her being reticent or
That would be
in the background.
That would be at the root of the use of alcohol and drugs, in a sense. I think as when people have that kind of thing, they will attempt to make a different outlet for it. The Neptune on the moon is very inspirational as well, though, isn't it?
Maternal, yeah.
Maternal?
I think so as well.
She didn't live long enough to
No, she
show
didn't,
that, did
but she would have made a good mother.
Yeah.
Obviously, with those conjunction of Moon and Neptune. And in Sagittarius, perhaps it would have been giving birth to
other people's children.
a new musical, sitting on musical eggs and hatching.
Yeah, the productivity.
Hatching songs.
It's very inspirational, isn't it? It's the Neptune is digging deep into the self and the past and coming up with, like you've just said, Peter, producing something from very deep or very far away,
which would be Moon conjunct.
And then I think that she was just as happy writing material as she was performing it, wasn't she?
Yes.
I think if she'd have lived, maybe she'd have written more serious material as well, and gone into. And when I mean, her songs were fairly profound, but
yeah. One thing I've noticed, Lynn, with this Jupiter conjunct Uranus and Sag, is when she was on the road, which would be Sagittarius, when she was touring, which would be Sagittarius,
yes,
there would be, she would get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
With the Jupiter with engagements.
She would.
And the
She'd have
Virgo
to break that pressure.
Yes, the Virgo in her would want to take backward steps.
Yeah.
But the Jupiter conjunct Uranus would have pressing engagements of touring and appearances and
although
being on the road.
that Uranus breaks things, so there would be broken dates. I think sometimes she would just break engagements rather than fail.
Yes.
There's this tremendous fear of failure, which is nothing to do with how good somebody is or what criteria they've reached. It's an inner thing which always plagues them. Yeah. And in a sense it takes away from the enjoyment of a performer or an artist or somebody who's accomplished something, because it's ever present.
That's right. Yeah.
And would lead in somebody who was maybe not perfectly balanced. It would lead to consequences, tragic consequences.
So Virgo, in my mind, was a weak. Is always a weak sign for the entertainment industry. I think
it's
in terms of longevity and the ability to withstand the pressures.
Well, I
think come with.
I don't think Virgo. I think Virgo is got the tremendous ability to stay the course, provided it's not in the limelight. Provided it's doing something which it can do in its own time, in its own way, and its own space.
The Earth in astrology is always opposite the Sun in a chart, and here it's like the handle of a bucket. It's in Pisces, and of course Pisces.
Is it in the 7th or the 6th in a solar chart? Do you know?
It's the 7th.
7th, so that's partnership.
Yeah, and so Pisces is this drowning in sorrows, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or wallowing in the emotions of burnout, with it being the Earth. But of course it would point to the eventual alcoholism. Yeah,
in Pisces, definitely.
Which is a shame.
Whereas Amy Winehouse was very honest about who she was.
But that's an Earth quality, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I liked her for that. I think it was a tragic loss when she passed.
But Amy did have a lot of fire in her chart. Look, the 4 planets in Sag.
And 2 in Leo.
So there was these inner conflicts going on, weren't they?
5, yeah.
Weren't there, wanting to be out there and yet wanting to be...
Well, she got 6 positive signs and 4 negative, so strong animus stuff. Yeah. I agree. So that's Amy Winehouse. Thank you.
God bless her, yeah.
Join us next time for the next Celebrity Pod, and visit www.perceptivity.co.uk to learn more about our astrological services.
And watch out for the next pod. Thank you.
Bu akşam seminerimizi canlı olarak mobil uygulamamız üzerinden yapıyoruz.